The lecture hall was full, yet quiet like a church before prayer. No one wanted to be noticed. Girls came dressed in oversized sweaters despite the sweltering heat, scarves wrapped around their curves, as though fabric could shield them from the hungry eyes of Dr. Bamadil, the man everyone whispered about but no one dared confront. The Big Dick Lecturer. That was the name etched into campus gossip, whispered in trembling voices between hostile walls. He was infamous not just for his iron grating but for the way he used his position like a weapon. If a girl wanted to pass his course, she had to pay, sometimes in cash but more often with her body. And he always collected. Male students hated him. Female students feared him. Many had dropped out rather than face him again. Those who stayed avoided his gaze, sitting at the very back, eyes fixed on their notes. No girl dared sit in the front row anymore. Except Jenny. Jenny didn't choose the front, she had no choice. As class captain, her duty was to sit where he could see her, to take reports, to drop timetables in his office. Every week, she felt his eyes undress her. No disguise could hide her beauty. Not the dull colors she wore, not the extra baggy jeans she dragged to class. Her curves announced her even when she tried to disappear. Her radiant skin caught the light, and her big brown eyes glowed like secrets she couldn't hide. Today was no different. Jenny walked in with the attendance sheet clutched in her hand, and the room fell into silence. Dr. Bamadil looked up from his notes, his lips curling into a smirk that made her stomach twist. His stare was deliberate, heavy, the kind that stripped her layer by layer without touching her. She dropped the sheet on his desk, whispered, "Sir, this is today's record." He nodded, then stood. As she turned to leave, he moved closer, so close his chest brushed her shoulder. His scent was sharp, intoxicating, like danger in a bottle. Then came the hug. It was his routine, his sick joke. "You're doing well, class captain." The students pretended not to notice, eyes buried in books. But Jenny felt it. The press of him against her. Hard, bold, aimless. He lingered as though savoring her discomfort, and when she pulled away, his chuckle followed her like smoke. Jenny rushed out of the hall, heart racing, palms damp. She leaned against the wall outside, breathing hard, fighting back the shame. Each time she escaped him, it felt like surviving a war. And yet she knew. The final exam was approaching, her last tether to him. What she didn't know was that before freedom, the monster had one last hunt. Jenny dreaded his office more than anywhere else on campus. The walls were lined with dusty books, shelves bending under files of past students who'd passed through his claws. The air was always heavy with his cologne, sharp, musky, suffocating. She stood at the door, clutching the class timetable in her hand, whispering a silent prayer. Maybe today he would just sign it and let her go. Maybe today she wouldn't feel his body pressing against hers. She knocked. "Come in." His voice carried the authority of a judge, but the hunger of a wolf. Jenny pushed the door open. Dr. Bamadil was leaning back in his chair, legs spread, a sly smile tugging his lips. His eyes traveled lazily from her face to her waist, down her legs, then back up again. She felt naked under his gaze. "Ah, my class captain," he said, drawing out the words as though tasting them. "Always punctual. Always beautiful." Her heart thudded. She forced a smile, stepped closer, and placed the timetable on his desk. "Here's the schedule for next week, sir." He didn't look at the paper. Instead, he leaned forward, his hand brushing hers deliberately as he took it. Jenny flinched at the touch, but he caught her wrist, holding it longer than necessary. "You know, Jenny," he said, his voice dropping lower, almost a whisper, "every time you walk into this office, I lose my train of thought. Do you feel it too?" Her throat tightened. "Sir, please. I just came to drop the timetable." He chuckled softly, a dark sound. Then he stood, tall and broad, moving around the desk until he was behind her. She froze as his hand brushed her shoulder, sliding down her arm, stopping just at the curve of her waist. Jenny's breath came fast. She wanted to scream, but the walls seemed to close in, stealing her voice. He leaned closer, his lips almost grazing her ear. "Relax," he murmured. "I'm only joking for now." She turned quickly, forcing herself free, her pulse hammering. "I have to go, sir." He stepped back, laughing softly as though amused by her fear. "Run along then." "But Jenny," he licked his lips. "Don't forget, you'll always come back to me. Class captain or not." Jenny bolted out, her legs trembling, tears stinging her eyes. She hated herself for feeling helpless, hated the way her body betrayed her with shivers she couldn't control. Outside, she leaned against the corridor wall, gasping for air. Exams were just weeks away. Soon, she told herself. Soon she'd be free. But deep inside, she knew the predator was only waiting for his moment to strike. The day had come. Jenny woke up with relief humming in her chest. Her last exam was only hours away. After this, she would never sit in Dr. Bamadil's class again. Never feel his stare burn through her clothes. Never hear his dark chuckle as he brushed against her. Freedom was close enough to taste. But fate had other plans. As she packed her notes, her phone buzzed. A text from him. "See me in my office before your paper. Important area of concentration for the exam. Don't be late." Jenny's blood ran cold. She wanted to ignore it, but she couldn't. She was class captain. Her classmates depended on her to get the information. With shaking hands, she tucked the paper into her bag and walked towards the lion's den. His office door was ajar. She knocked lightly, her voice barely steady. "Sir, it's Jenny." "Come in," came the familiar voice. Calm, almost too calm. She stepped inside, heart pounding. He was already standing, not behind his desk this time but in the center of the room. His tie loosened, his shirt collar open. His eyes drank her in. "Ah, my jewel," he said softly. "Congratulations. You've made it to your final exam." He extended his hand. "Shake me." "You've done well." Jenny hesitated, then forced a polite smile and reached for his hand. But he didn't let go. His grip tightened, pulling her closer until her chest brushed against him. He gasped. "Sir." "Eh?" His voice was low, trembling with hunger. He guided her hand downward, pressing it against the hardness straining in his trousers. See what you do to me. Every time I think of you I can't sleep. You're fire in my blood." Jenny yanked her hand away, trembling. "Please, sir, don't. I don't want this." But he was already moving. Like a predator pouncing, he shoved her against the desk, his weight pinning her. Panic surged through her. She struggled, but his strength was overwhelming. His breath hot against her ear. "Stop fighting," he growled, ripping at her clothes with the practiced precision of a man who'd done this too many times before. "You'll thank me later." Jenny's tears blurred her vision. Her pleas choked in her throat as his body claimed hers, hard and merciless. Each thrust shattered her world. The office walls swallowed her cries, leaving only the sound of his groans of ecstasy. When it was over, he collapsed into his chair, zipping his trousers with a satisfied sigh. Jenny lay broken against the desk, her soul in pieces. "Sweet," he muttered, smirking. "Just like I knew you'd be." Jenny pulled herself together with trembling hands, shame burning her skin. She staggered out of the office, tears spilling freely. For the first time in her life, she wished she could disappear. But outside waiting for her was Aoife. And the moment he saw her swollen eyes and broken spirit, his rage lit like wildfire. The monster had crossed the wrong line. Jenny stumbled out of the office, her steps unsteady, her face streaked with tears. The world around her looked blurry, unreal, like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Students passed by in the corridor, but no one stopped her. No one ever stopped anyone. That was how monsters like him survived. But one pair of eyes caught her. Eyes that burned with both worry and fury. Aoife. Her childhood friend, the one who'd walked her home since they were 12, the one who always swore he'd protect her. "Jenny." His voice cracked as he rushed to her. "Jenny, what happened?" She broke the moment she saw him. Her sobs tore out of her chest, and she fell against him, shaking, unable to speak. Aoife's arms wrapped around her, holding her like she might crumble into dust. Between broken breaths, the truth spilled out. The stairs, the hugs, the trap, the desk, his violation. Every word cut deeper into Aoife's soul, until his jaw clenched and his fists balled so tightly his knuckles turned white. "I'll kill him," he growled, his voice trembling with rage. "I swear to God, Jenny, I'll kill him with my bare hands." Jenny shook her head, clutching him. "No, Faye, he's powerful. He'll win like he always does. Nobody listens. Nobody cares." Her words only fanned his fury. "Then we won't go to them. We'll go to him." His eyes darkened. "If he thinks he can take from you and walk free, then let him choke on his own filth." Jenny looked up at him, fear and exhaustion in her eyes. "What can we do? He's untouchable." Aoife leaned closer, his voice low and dangerous. "No one is untouchable when desire is their weakness. And that bastard's weakness is you." For the first time since it happened, Jenny saw something spark inside herself. Not hope but fire. She wiped her tears and nodded slowly. "If it means bringing him down, Aoife, I'll do it. I'll be the bait." His hand brushed her cheek, soft where his rage was sharp. "You won't be alone. I'll be there every step." That night, Aoife began to plan. He hired 5 prostitutes, fierce, unashamed women who knew how to break a man the way he'd broken countless girls. Cameras were set up in a hotel room. Every detail was arranged. Jenny would lure him. Desire would drag him into the trap. And this time, when he took what he thought was his, it would be the beginning of his ruin. The hotel room smelled of perfume and promise. He walked in with a grin wide enough to split his face, already undressing with his eyes. When the first woman stepped out in lingerie, he laughed. "Ah, Jenny, you're wicked," he muttered, assuming she had planned the surprise. He stripped quickly, his swollen arrogance bobbing proudly. The prostitute pushed him to the bed and climbed on. He groaned, his hands gripping her waist as she rode him, every thrust drawing a grunt of satisfaction. Then the door opened. A second woman slipped in, all curves and laughter. His eyes widened, excitement flaring. "Chai, so this is the game, eh? You want to spoil me tonight." He lay back, chest heaving as the second woman joined in, moaning against his neck, kissing his chest while the first kept riding him hard. He was in heaven, lost in the fantasy. But heaven quickly became hell. By the time the third woman entered, his sweat was pouring, his body trembling with exhaustion. "Wait, wait," he gasped, trying to push her away as she straddled him. "Let me rest. I'm tired, oh." The third harlot leaned close, her lips brushing his ear. Her whisper was a dagger. "There is no rest for the wicked." His smile broke. Realization dawned. His eyes darted around the room, panic rising. What is this?" he stammered. Before he could gather his breath, the fourth woman entered, tall, confident, holding a glittering black dildo in her hand. His blood ran cold. No, what's that? Please don't. You people will kill me." He tried to scramble off the bed, but 2 of them held his legs firm while another pinned his arms. He was helpless, flailing like a caught animal. "Oh, lecturer, you look sweet," the fourth purred, laughing cruelly. "Can you turn over for me?" Terror cracked his voice. "No. Please, I'm too old for this. I can't move my legs. Have mercy." But there was no mercy. With practiced ease, they rolled him onto his stomach, ignoring his sobs. He kicked weakly, begged, screamed, but their laughter drowned him. The dildo slid in, his body convulsing as he howled in pain and humiliation. "Confess," one demanded, her voice sharp. "Confess what you do to girls." I confess, he cried, tears streaming down his face. "I force them. I can't stop myself. Please, no more, I beg you." But they didn't stop. Not yet. Each thrust of the toy, Each mocking laugh was revenge for the countless students he had ruined. His moans of pleasure had turned into pitiful wails. His swagger shredded, his pride broken. By the time the fifth woman entered, camera rolling, his body was shaking, his voice hoarse, his confessions spilling like vomit. The mighty big dick lecturer was nothing more than a whimpering shell of himself. And the world would soon see it. By morning the clip was everywhere. Phones buzzed in lecture halls, in hostels, even in staff quarters. Students huddled in groups, gasping, laughing, rewinding the parts where the once feared man begged for mercy. "I confess. I confess." His voice cracked from the tiny speakers, his face wet with tears, his body pinned down by the women he once would have preyed upon. He wailed, "I'm tired, oh, please help me," while their mocking voices echoed, "No rest for the wicked." The entire campus was electrified. Girls who had once tiptoed in fear now laughed out loud, passing the clip around like freedom itself. Male students who'd hated him for years slapped each other's backs, saying, "Justice Don Land." No one had ever believed the monster could fall, but here he was, exposed and broken. His arrogance shattered on every phone screen. In the faculty office, his colleagues watched in silence, faces pale. Some shook their heads, muttering, "He brought this on himself." Others whispered in fear, worried about their own secrets. The administration had no choice. Before the end of the day, an emergency meeting was held. By nightfall he was suspended indefinitely. But while the world laughed, the man himself lay in a hospital bed. His body had buckled under the night's torment. Exhaustion, dehydration, humiliation. His pride had been ripped apart as brutally as his body. Nurses whispered about his cries in the ward, how he repeated the same line over and over in his feverish sleep. "I'm tired, please stop. I can't move my legs." The students nicknamed the clip the Big Dick Confession. It spread beyond campus, reaching other universities, trending on social media. For once, the predator was the hunted, and there would be no one to silence the noise. Jenny watched it all unfold quietly from her room. Her phone buzzed non-stop with classmates forwarding the clip, girls thanking her without even knowing she had been the bait. Each time she replayed his begging face, she didn't feel joy, she felt something deeper. Relief. Closure. Beside her, Aoife sat, his arm steady around her shoulders. "It's over," he said softly. "He can never touch anyone again." Jenny nodded, eyes fixed on the screen one last time. For the first time since she became class captain, she wasn't trembling. The fear was gone, the shame no longer hers. The monster had been stripped, and the whole world had seen him naked. The lecturer's confession video had already gone viral. Students laughed, parents raged, and the university senate wasted no time announcing his dismissal. Everyone thought it was over. Everyone thought the monster had finally fallen. But in the dimly lit hospital ward, as nurses whispered and avoided his gaze, Dr. Bamadil stared at the ceiling with a smile no one understood. Because he knew something no one else did. That night, a man in a dark suit walked into the ward. Not a doctor. Not a lecturer. Someone from outside, powerful, connected, untouchable. He leaned down and whispered into the broken man's ear. "Don't worry. This is only the beginning. You gave us names. Now we'll give you protection." The truth was darker than anyone guessed. Dr. Bamadil was not alone. He was part of a network, lecturers, businessmen, politicians, all feeding off the same hunger, all protecting one another. His downfall had exposed him, but it had also triggered a chain reaction. The next morning, Jenny woke up to messages that chilled her blood. A video clip of her leaving the hotel corridor the night of the setup. A message beneath it. "You think you've won. We know what you did. And we're coming for you." Her stomach dropped. Aoife saw the message too, rage and fear flashing in his eyes. "They've turned it back on us," he muttered. He wasn't just one man, he was a doorway. Jenny realized then. This wasn't over. The predator they had trapped was only the tip of a monstrous web, And now she was marked. The campus celebrated his fall, but Jenny and Aoife knew the real war was just beginning.